Namaskara, welcome to News9 show, The South Indian with me, Sudha Sadanand. As usual, I shall bring to you 9 top stories from the South India, the only show which does that. Let me now, of course, begin with the first big story. The Congress government under Siddaramaiah completes 1 year in power in Karnataka. What are the hits and the misses? So we're going to spend all our time trying to figure out what are the hits and misses of the Siddaramaiah government after completing 1 year in power. There you go. 1 year of Siddaramaiah government, the hits and misses. Today is of course a red letter day for Karnataka. The Siddaramaiah-led Congress government completes a year in power. But there are no celebrations owing to the model code of conduct and have been postponed for later. My colleague Kartikeya Sharma caught up with Randeep Singh Surjewala, who had to say the following on Karnataka. Listen in.
कर्नाटक में हमने गारंटी स्कीम चलाई जो शब्द अब मोदी जी ने चोरी किया हमसे। 1 करोड़ 25 लाख महिलाओं को ना धर्म ना जाति हम 2000 रुपया देते हैं महंगाई से लड़ने के लिए। उसको बोलते हैं इक्विटेबल डिस्ट्रीब्यूटिव जस्टिस। हम हर महिला को बस में, सरकारी बस में फ्री बस सफ़र देते हैं। 11 महीने में 200 करोड़ फ्री बस ट्रिप्स हुई। 35 लाख महिलाएं हर रोज़ फ्री बस सफ़र करती है। मोदी जी आकर उस पर हमला बोलते हैं। उसे बोलते हैं इक्विटेबल डिस्ट्रीब्यूटिव जस्टिस। 200 यूनिट फ्री करंट हम कर्नाटक में देते हैं 1 करोड़ 11 लाख घरों को। सरकार वो पैसा देती है। इट इज़ इक्विटेबल डिस्ट्रीब्यूटिव जस्टिस। बहुत जो अमीर लोग हैं, करोड़पति अरबोपति मोदी जी के मित्र हैं, अगर मैं उनकी जेब से, जिनके पास देश की आधी संपत्ति है, अगर टैक्स लगे और वो 10 रुपया दे दें, या जो स्टेट के रिसोर्सेज हैं अगर उनसे किसी गरीब का भला हो जाए, दलित, आदिवासी, पिछड़े का, तो इसमें मोदी सरकार के पेट में दर्द क्यों?
You can catch that complete interview tomorrow, that is 21st of May at 7:30 p.m. Now, the Congress regime came to power exactly a year ago, bagging 135 seats and riding on an anti-corruption plank. You may recall how the Bombay government, owing to allegations in contractors' deals, was labelled as the 40% Sarkara. The Congress's victory was seen as a feather in its cap, for it managed to eject the only BJP government in the south of India. Today, of course, we shall analyze the hits and misses of the Congress government in Karnataka in the past 1 year. The 5 guarantees, of course, is the first one, as that set a template which was later adapted by Telangana, yielding results for the then incumbent Revanth Reddy. But then there are other questions which may impact the Congress government in Karnataka as time goes by. Politics is dynamic. Nothing is permanent. That is the nature of the beast called politics. On your screens now, the 5 guarantees and flagship of the Siddaramaiah government. The Shakti scheme, free rides to Karnataka women in non-luxury government buses, that is the first one. Of course, the Grihajyoti scheme, which includes 200 units of free electricity per month to every residential household in Karnataka. The Grihalakshmi scheme, promising Rs 2,000 monthly assistance to women heads of families below poverty line. The Annabhagya scheme, which includes 10 kilograms of food grains to each beneficiary every month. And lastly, the Yuva Nidhi scheme, which is yet to be implemented and promised 3,000 rupees every month for graduate youth and 1,500 rupees every month for diploma holders. Let me now first introduce the guests on the panel and then ask the first question. Vijay Grover, senior journalist and political analyst, is here with us. Dr. Baswaraj Itnal, senior journalist and analyst, is with us also. Bhanuchandar Nagarajan, political analyst, is also with us. And of course, Professor Chambi Puranik, senior political analyst who understands Karnataka extremely well, is here. Now, the first question that we are asking is on your screens right now. The success and failures of the 5 guarantees. That's the first question because it's the flagship, like I said, and one has to analyze we have to look at it from empirical evidence What are the successes and failures of the 5 guarantees? No welfare scheme is ever either entirely successful or fails entirely. Let me first welcome all the guests. Namaskara to all of you. Good to see you. Vijay Grover, you know, Chief Minister Siddaramaiah is known to be extremely adept at looking at budgetary allocations. We know his past. The thing is, what is really worrisome is that there was initially a deficit of 27,353 crores for the year 2024-25 because of the 5 guarantees, and later it was said very clearly and overtly, Vijay, that the spending on social services has gone up from 94,027 to 1,16,640 crores for 24-25. Have the guarantees been delivered? Yes, no. In the sense, it may have been delivered to me if I am a farmer in Mandya, but I am looking at other issues as well. First opening, do you think it's a major success for Karnataka in the first year? Because it takes, honeymoon period is almost, I think, the first 4 or 5 months is how I look at it, but I'll leave it to you, Vijay.
Well, Sudha, if you were to look at the 5 guarantees, that has been a major trump card as far as Siddaramaiah is concerned, and the implementation of that effectively is something which we can say has put the government in contention. The fact that, you know, if I were to just compare it politically, 2019 Congress got washed out except for DK Suresh's seat. This time around, if the Congress is talking of, you know, seats in double digits, it clearly is riding on the popularity wave of Siddaramaiah government, which has managed to win the hearts of a lot of people by delivering what it had promised before 2023 elections. In fact, today he had a meet the press, and, you know, when Siddaramaiah was talking about all these things, the question was raised about the same thing, whether the state finances will crumble under the guarantee scheme or will he be able to manage it. So he very clearly answered. He said, despite the fact that the central government has not given about 1,60,000 odd crore rupees, which are due to the state as a part of the devolution and the other funds that need to come from the center. But despite that, he said, for 1 year more, I have no problem, and I can very confidently say that we will be able to deliver and ensure that the funding for this 5 guarantee schemes will continue, and there will be no issue and no extra burden that will come on the state government, that development work or any other work will have to, you know, suffer because of that. So that is something, you know, he's a man who's been a finance minister and for 9 years, and has presented till now about 16 state budgets, and that's a record by itself. So a man who knows his finances well was very confident that, you know, the funding that is needed for the guarantee schemes, the kind of money that is required for the bus service or for the 2,000 rupees to be given to the women head of family and the free electricity units, etc., very clearly knows what he is doing. And he was very confident. He said that despite the discrimination that the state has suffered, we have the resources, we will manage it, and we will ensure that the guarantees that have been made by the Congress government in the state will continue. And he was confident ahead of the fact that, you know, this year's finances, he said, are taken care of.
All right. Dr. Itnal, it is one thing to say that, you know, we are giving welfare and guarantees to the people. It's another, because let me tell you, no one had predicted that there would be drought. You know, 200 odd talukas have gone dry. The farmers are suffering. In a lot of regions, the farmers are saying, we don't care about the guarantees. We want something else. To peg the blame at the center, which is right. I am not saying it's wrong, Dr. Itnal. But do you think he's bitten more than he can chew? Because the after effects of it will only be visible later. Welfare schemes are good. You could say we are a welfare state, fine. But the point is that is it going to yield result, or is it going to have a major impact on the exchequer of the state, is my question.
Right on the day when Congress party has announced these 5 guarantees in the run-up to elections last year, they knew exactly. Siddaramaiah, like my friend Vijay Gaur said, he is a seasoned financial expert in himself. So he knew what is going to be the budgetary burden on account of these welfare schemes. But, you know, at that point in time, it was necessary, whether it is Congress or any political party, it was necessary to give us a certain level of feel-good factor to the electorate because people had suffered. And in that regard, the question that you asked primarily was whether the 5 guarantees are successful. The criticism may continue. The same criticism were heard earlier also, that is it a good politics? Is it good economics? Will this solve anything? Questions are being asked, the same questions are being asked. But the point is, have they been implemented? Yes, they have been implemented. Has the party kept the promise? They have kept the word with the electorate. And how effective they are, there is certain room for debate there, if they are effective or not. But the drought, you talked about the drought. Drought also, it is not something that happens like a miracle. No, there's a pattern. There's a pattern in climatic, changes.
Right.
And there is a drought. There's a drought monitoring cell also in Karnataka. Now it is renamed as disaster management cell, something like that. So what I'm trying to tell is, the experts know, what is going to be the rainfall in next few years and all that. But if minus the guarantee schemes, imagine how severe the drought would have hurt the common man. Now, because there is the women are being given 2,000 rupees a month, and because they are being given Annabhagya rice, the severity of rice is that much contained.
Right. Okay.
Right? That much contained.
All right. Like Dr. Itnal says, we have to look at all the sides. He says they have been delivered, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm going to take a break. And after the break, we shall keep our focus on this topic. But after I come back, the other two experts, Bhanu Chandar and Professor Chambi Puranik. Do not go away.
Helps beat sensitivity fast. Sensodyne Rapid Relief.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
20,000 people dead and counting. What's happening in the United States of America is unprecedented. You will have to pay for this.
America, there is an inheritance tax. In India, you don't have that.
कांग्रेस की लूट जिंदगी के साथ भी और जिंदगी के बाद भी।
Our manifesto combines ideology with effective administration, with delivery that is long overdue.
Rahul Gandhi is talking about redistribution of wealth. These are the things people are alert to. They want to know, what does Congress say when you say redistribute wealth?
I was ready to be a CEO at 26.
Only the guys with the strongest heads can handle hard situations.
There is a blurring line between arrogance and confidence.
This is the philosophy of FC Bayern Munich.
World premiere on 25th of May, only on News9 Live at 9 p.m.
Helps beat sensitivity fast. Sensodyne Rapid Relief.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
Welcome back. You're watching the South Indian. Our main story today is 1 year of Siddaramaiah's government, the hits and the misses. Before I took the break, I told you that I will go to the other guest, Bhanu Chandar. Nagarajan, please, on the screen right now. Banu Chandar, like I said, there are two sides to the same story, and if nothing is permanently good or bad, I mean, we have to look at all the gaps here. You know, one farmer was asked and he said the state government has stopped contribution of 4,000 to Kisan Samman, on which the center pays 6,000. The 2,000 given as drought of relief by the state is peanuts. Why is the government spending so much on guarantees and looking at the center for drought? It's bad planning. Banu Chandar, I know, like both Vijay as well as Dr. Itnal said, the delivery so far has been first rate. The government has done well. People are happy, whether it's Annabhagya, whether it is also free bus rides for women, pretty much like Telangana, you know what's happened. But what is the flip side of it? Do you think the exchequer, of course Siddaramaiah is an expert when it comes to fiscal prudence, one may say, but what is the flip side to it, Banu Chandar?
If you take the 1 year of Siddaramaiah government, you can classify its performance under two categories. One is lackadaisical, second is too soon to be judged. And this 5 guarantees implementation belongs to the second category, which you put in charitable. First, we said that the project Shakti, the free bus, is doing very well. On the contrary, what I am hearing is that the KSRTC is running short of funds for maintenance and the buses are breaking down and so on. So there is a fund crunch there as well. Second is one of the important promises, which is Yuvanidhi, which promises 3,000 rupees to graduates and 1,500 rupees to diploma holders, has not been started at all.
That's still pending. So you are right, Bhanu. Yeah, Yuvanidhi.
Yeah. So this is and if you look at the budget, for the first time, the borrowing is exceeded 1 lakh crores. This is the first time in the government of Karnataka's history. And because they have the revenue shortfall. And this is affecting them in multiple ways. One of the things is something that you mentioned. 226 out of the 236 talukas are under drought. Okay, and there needs to be interim measures that needs to be taken to address this, palliative measures. The government did not have funds. The government also promises to increase the length of the metros. If you look at their manifestos, they won't be able to address it. So what happens is, when you have this sort of a fiscal mismanagement, there will be a lot of opportunity cost. Okay, but still, this is what the government, this is what the Congress party promised before it went to polls, and the people voted on it. We can have multiple opinions about revenues or welfare and so on, but we have to accept that democratic verdict.
But then Mr. Mr. Modi also talks about Modi ki guarantee. It's about, if someone says 10 kgs of rice, he says, I will give you more. So everyone is turning it into subsidy kind of a revdi or whatever. I will never call it revdi. I'm a South Indian. The welfare thing, everyone is turning it into that only, no. And you've given me a good speaking point, Professor Chambi Puranik. You remember when D.K. Shivakumar told all the MLAs, don't come to me for any development work. I have no funds. I have to fulfill the guarantees. I am only talking about, were they delivered? Yes. But we have to look at a long-term planning. I cannot possibly buy a luxury car today and then kind of regret it at leisure. I am saying that somehow it seems that with a drought, which is unfortunate, all the talukas going dry, etc., and with the borrowing, this may not be the most prudent thing for the government to have done. Professor, what do you think?
Well, Sudha, while agreeing with your observation, that is the 1 year is, I think, right time to assess or take stock of things of the Siddaramaiah government. It started very well. The 5 guarantees itself as something very novel, which people of Karnataka never expected. And it is, they don't say it's a stroke of genius, but in terms of some outside, advisors who are experts in this kind of campaigning and all that, they have given, and Siddaramaiah government or the Congress party took a big risk. But my worry is, like the worry of you and other experts, is that 60,000 crores of rupees to mobilize parties. Now, where do you mobilize? See, you can't have a confrontationist approach with the central government and say that you are not given for drought relief and all. There is a point in that, and it went up to the court also, which I think was very unfortunate from both the sides. Even central government also should have been more magnanimous and accommodative, but the political kind of slugfest is always there. But the point that Manu mentioned, about non-payment of salaries to the KSRTC employees and also to the guest lecturers. And like this, Anganwadi Karyakartas, all these things, see, in terms of administrative kind of whatever fiscal management, I think Siddaramaiah's this term, the previous term, he could balance because there was not such thing as 5 guarantees. So therefore, I would say that the litmus test for the Siddaramaiah government is not only about his ability to manage the fiscal discipline, but also to mobilize more resources. That is not seen. And the development works of MLAs and the constituencies and also 223 talukas which are facing severe drought.
Yes.
And that kind of situation has not been addressed properly.
Yes,
so
exactly.
I think it's a big challenge, and I think Mr. Siddaramaiah and his cabinet, instead of bothering about the kind of sex scandal of Prajwal Revanna or diverting issues and all that, they should face it square.
And that is Professor Saab, that is my next question. I'm going to take a break, Professor Sir. Next is Siddaramaiah's loosening grip over law and order. On the other side, I'll see you.
Helps beat sensitivity fast. Sensodyne Rapid Relief.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी.
For the very first time in our investigation, we unmasked the killer of Ravindra Matre.
In 5G, we have to stand with the world, and in 6G, we have to lead the world.
Winning a Grammy was an absolutely surreal experience.
The game of power politics has begun. The poll bugle has been sounded. Who will receive the death blow? Who will be checkmated? It still remains to be seen.
ये दिखाता है हर कार्यकर्ता का बुलंद हौसला.
This and more. Streaming on News9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
20,000 people dead and counting. What's happening in the United States of America is unprecedented. You will have to pay for this.
Helps beat sensitivity fast. Sensodyne Rapid Relief.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी.
I was ready to be a CEO at 26.
Only the guys with the strongest heads can handle hard situations.
There is a blurring line between arrogance and confidence.
This is the philosophy of FC Bayern Munich.
World premiere on 25th of May, only on News9 Live at 9 p.m.
Welcome back. That's our main story, the 1 year of Siddaramaiah government, the hits and misses. I asked the first question about the 5 guarantees, whether it was a success or a failure, and we got Mixed responses, and that's how a good debate is supposed to be. The second one is right here, Siddaramaiah's listening group over law and order. But let me just first put things in perspective. If the Bombay government witnessed allegations of corruption and a death of a contractor and the eventual fall of the sole BJP government in the south, the Congress government has had enough and more of law and order issues on its plate. The raising of pro-Pakistan slogans in the Vidhan Sauda, the brutal murder of young Neha Hiremat, and of course the mother of all scandals, like Professor Chambi Puranik said, the Prajwal Revanna alleged sex scandal. So therefore, let's put up the second question once again. This is the question we are asking: Siddaramaiah's loosening grip over law and order. That's the second question, and I think 1 year is over and it requires some answers. Vijay Grover, you know, all said and done, it's their government. They have done enough and more politics of saying, well, we did this, you did this whataboutery. But the point of the matter is that when the BJP government was there, we spoke about, you know, how there was vigilantes where people would go out, grab, youngsters, attack them, etc. But what we have seen with Prajwal Revanna case, and if you look at it, the political slugfest which has gone on and on, or the Neha Hiremat case, or Anjali's case, young Anjali, I am not apportioning blame on that person or this, but the onus stops, the buck stops with you. That is the Siddaramaiah government. I think Siddaramaiah is somewhere loosening his grip over law and order. It's not been, I'm not saying it has to be stellar, Vijay, but he could do better than what he's doing. What do you think?
Certainly, Sudha, and you know, when it comes to law and order, one thing is very important is the perception that the people have, the common man has. You know, talking about maybe Neha Hiremat case or the Anjali case or Prajwal Revanna case. These may be some things which, you know, do not have connection with day-to-day policing in terms of, you know, because these are crimes of passion, crimes of revenge, and you know, Prajwal Revanna is clear, sheer abuse of power by a politician, and that's something which is not on a day-to-day basis. But the perception that is gaining ground in the last 1 year is, unfortunately, the fear of the law has vanished in a lot of people, and we see, you know, even basic things like traffic violations or, you know, without helmet, wrong entry, these are something which have become common, and you know, because we don't know the reason why it is happening, but the clear thing is that, you know, this government, even basic policing seems to be missing, and that is something which is becoming a concern over, you know, every single day. And that is something where I'm not talking of the high-profile crimes that you spoke about, but clear observations of the common man on the street is that, you know, we've not had effective policing or, you know, effective implementation of law and order, and that is a big concern because police postings in Karnataka always have been something which have been tagged to, you know, political parties coming to power, going out of power, and how, you know, the shuffles take place, and you know, the present set of policemen, whoever are now in top places, somehow have not been able to put that sense of responsibility at the ground level of policing, and that's a big concern. Because, you know, if this continues for some more time, there would be, you know, like no fear that even a common man would have that I can get away with any small crime.
Yes, Vijay
That
Grover.
is something.
Yeah, Vijay Grover, you start from the bottom and go upwards, which is a very prudent way of doing things. I have to take a break. When I come back, like Vijay Grover says, listen, it's the perception and it will get from bad to worse. I'll go to Dr. Itnal and ask him about two cases which come to my mind. One is the corruption in water tanks because of the water woes in Bengaluru, and the other is that the young chap in a shop who was actually thrashed by a lot of people because he was playing some kind of a bhajan. What is going on in Karnataka? After a break.
Forever there are simultaneous election of Parliament, Assembly and Municipality and Panchayat. So that framework has to be given in the Constitution. That amendment has been suggested.
Are you going to take away the power of dissolution?
I mean, it doesn't require any rocket science to do this.
It's a simple constitutional amendment, and the idea is everything goes together.
The Law Commission has set the ball rolling for one nation, one election. Basically, if all goes well, then India may see simultaneous elections to Lok Sabha, state assemblies, municipalities and panchayats in 2029.
This and more. Streaming on News9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
I was ready to be a CEO at 26.
Only the guys with the strongest heads can handle hard situations.
There is a blurring line between arrogance and confidence.
This is the philosophy of FC Bayern Munich.
World premiere on 25th of May, only on News9 Live at 9 p.m.
All right, that's our main story. 1 year of Siddaramaiah's government, the hits and misses. The question that we were asking on your screen right now, Siddaramaiah's loosening grip over law and order. Vijay Grover spoke and he said, you have to see it from the bottom upwards and not just look at the high profile cases. He spoke very relevantly and said, listen, there is a perception. Dr. Itnal, before I went to the break, I told you that I'll come back to you. Dr. Itnal, remember that case, where it's on your screen right now, the abusing which is going on. This is what we saw during the BJP regime, sir, in a lot of areas and regions of Karnataka. Remember that young chap behind in his shop where he was thrashed. And of course, there are lots of also the tankers, the corruption where they said, I'll set a rate, but then they were selling at exorbitant prices. I think somewhere, sir, Dr. Itnal, Siddaramaiah hasn't got a grip over the law and order situation as promised.
See, no police, the day-to-day policing work that they do, people at the police station level, they don't report to the Home Minister or the Chief Minister. And what happens at that level, it happens whether anybody is chief CM, it doesn't matter to them. But the postings, like Grover was hinting at, the postings are very important. They are political decisions. And most of the police postings and transfers, they happen based on only two factors, caste and money. So these are only two factors that dictate these postings. So when this happens, when the policeman on the ground feels complacent that my caste government is there, I pay this much and I can afford to be, careless about my job. When that gets into the mindset of the police people on ground, then these things happen. One. Number two, this religious thing that you are hinting at, this happens just a few kilometers from my place where I stay in Bangalore. A point is here, this kind of things happen, when there is a perception among certain sections of the community. For example, why this happens, it's my reading actually, and I speak to many people regarding this, that Siddaramaiah government has openly taken support of SDPI. And it has sent a message in a way that SDPI is indispensable for this government. Siddaramaiah's vote base is Ahinda, Alpasankhata, Hindurida Varga. Alpasankhata means minority. Minority and backward class are support base. So SDPI has openly supported him. There was a pre-poll arrangement.
Right.
So to that extent, and SDPI has many questions to answer. You and I both know it.
Of course.
So when this perception goes out among the boys like this, then these things happen. So that's why Siddaramaiah is failing in perception game, number one. Number two, regarding this Neha murder or Anjali murder, this could have been better managed. So, for example, no government can prevent it from happening, but you could manage it well.
Exactly.
You could seem to be more judicious.
Yes.
And Prajwal Revanna case, anyways, it is not today's case. These series of events happened probably when Bomaya was CM. or earlier Kumar Samarth.
Yeah, but the doctor, but the political slugfest on us is unbearable, sir. I am only thinking of those women. Now, you know, you say SDPI support. I mean, you've put a very good point. You spoke very eloquently. That's a perception. Vijay said perception. You're also saying perception, sir. But let me now focus on the political slugfest. What is this, Professor Saab? You know, one day someone calls you a big shark, then they say, oh, can you prove I'm a big shark? Go do whatever you want to. This kind of an attitude which is going on in the Prajwal Revanna case, that is, of course, I will focus on it later, Professor Sir. But you know, I think Siddaramaiah needs to put a stop to all this nonsense which is going on. He needs to see that when the man comes back, of course, there is an arrest warrant against him, but overall this should stop, sir. I don't think Siddaramaiah's government has handled it very well, Professor Sir.
Yeah, totally. I agree with you. That is one of the surprise or the biggest failure of Siddaramaiah government is not to nab that Prajwal Revanna who has escaped. Almost 24 days. There's something. Second is the working of SIT also. When you talk of law and order deterioration and all that, you must know how SIT is also being very selective. In one side, you arrest the people who are there. Definitely, they should be brought to book and evidence must be obtained and all that. Second thing, the persons who have released those tapes, the tapes which have brought, kind of agony for the women, girls and all the families, the kind of whatever social tensions they are going through, that is where you need to take action against the people who have released it. Now, blame game is there. It is Siddaramaiah versus D.K. Shivarame, and we are not bothered. Karnataka people are worried about the safety of women.
Exactly.
Young girls,
but not the politicians. Not the politicians. They are mismanaging this completely.
My main problem is that the state government has not controlled the police administration, as Mr. Ethnal mentioned. Definitely, that could be the reason. Why?
Right.
In
Let
terms
me go
of transfers, MLS, they do make money. And without the support of MLS, I don't think police officers or district officers and others are there to survive. So
let me go to
whether it is Congress or BJP, it is always there. But my worry is Siddaramaiah being a very renowned and a very capable administrator, and be chief minister.
He's failing. He's failing. He doesn't have a grip over it. That's what we are saying. Loosening grip over law and order issues. Bhanuchandar Nagarajan, tell me something. The BJP, which is in alliance with JDS, distanced itself and said, let the law take its own course. But look at it. I mean, I'm only looking at it through the prism of Mr. Siddaramaiah. I think somewhere it is not even about the political will, that cliche term all of us use. It's that he seems incapable because he's surrounded by a lot many problems than what he had envisaged. Bhanuchandar.
See, people might forgive a maladministration and poor implementation of certain government schemes, but they cannot forgive three things. One is corruption, other is law and order, and third is there are issues related with water. These leave a huge psychological impact on people, and in all the three of them, the Siddaramaiah government hasn't fared well. We spoke quite a bit about the law and order situation, right? Neha case, pro-Pakistan slogans being shouted in Vidhan Sauda and so on, right? Second is corruption. If you look at the statement of the contractor association, I think the person's name is Kempanna. He said that the corruption has increased multifold, especially in road contract and building contracts. That's number two. Number three is water. On water, there are two things. One is the Prime Minister who made a comment on how Bangalore from tech city has become a tanker city, and the water mafia that is operating it and so on. The other point is the Chief Minister said that he will not give even a single drop of Kaveri water to Tamil Nadu. It is going to come up after the elections, but that is also there. So all of this is happening under political uncertainty as well in Karnataka, because there is always internecine. Just give me 30 seconds, Sudha. See, if you look at comments from both Siddaramaiah and DKS, they say that they are going to be chief minister at some point of time. There are factions and everything. And this election is also, among other things, is also a referendum on the 1 year of Siddaramaiah.
Bhanu, what are you, clairvoyant? Because my third question is that. You know, the one question which refuses to go away is the tussle between Chief Minister Siddaramaiah and Deputy Chief Minister DK Shivakumar. Is DK as the man in waiting? Bhanuchandar actually, almost like I said, was clairvoyant, which brings us to the third question on your screens right now. The rise of DK Shivakumar, that it is, now it is established. But what kind of a turmoil does it create when it comes to analyzing a government which has been in power for 1 year? Vijay Grover, it refuses to go over. We have discussed this many times. You know, DK Suresh, of course, DK Suresh will say, uska to wo bhai hai. But you know, MB Patil talking about it, this camp, that camp. But look at the body language of DK Shivakumar also. Any bite that he's giving, it is like, wait your turn. Mera bhi waqt aayega. This tussle is creating, sending out a very, very bad messaging because like Bhanuchandar says, there is uncertainty. Quickly, I'm running out of time, Vijayji.
Well, see, Sudha, one thing is very clear, you know, and the countdown seems to have begun as far as, you know, the change of leadership is concerned in Karnataka. And I can very confidently say that it's not far because, you know, the kind of deliverance that was expected from DK Shivakumar, he has delivered for the Congress party what was needed from him. And be it, you know, leading in Karnataka or in Telangana and other states where DK Shivakumar, and, you know, his whole body language, if you see now, especially after the Prajwal Revanna case, very clearly shows that he is a street smart fighter who is ready to run the BJP and JDS head on. And that only he can do, he knows it. Siddaramaiah may not be able to take on that kind of street fight if need be. That's what Vijay says, and very well analyzed. Dr. Itnal, quickly, I'm running out of time. What Vijay said, you know, which I also completely understand. Look at it. He's the troubleshooter. He goes to Telangana whenever there is trouble. He's the one who's managing elections all around. It's the time of DK Shivakumar. He's just waiting.
Because so whatever good or bad we said about 1 year of Congress government in Karnataka needs to be in the context of this election only, because for whole year the government of Siddaramaiah and DK Shivakumar was running an election year aimed at the parliamentary elections. Number one. Number two, now immediately after the elections, DK Shivakumar's claim will be that I delivered you Karnataka, I delivered you Telangana, and also on account of Prajwal Revanna and all the concomitant scandals, I have reduced at least certain sympathy in North for NDA. So that also you will claim. So in Karnataka at least, you know, what I'm hearing, the word on the street is that the Karnataka, they will deliver at least 50% of 28 seats.
All right. Okay. Professor, I want to... Yeah. Professor, you know, we speak about Siddaramaiah as the leader of the Ahindas. Do you think finally one can say very safely that DK Shivakumar has emerged as the only leader of the Vokkaligas and therefore he is a man in waiting?
Definitely. So you know, what I feel is that the Minister Jarkiwali, you know, recently has said there is a dissidence within the government and party. And also he has recommended, or earlier he has also been demanding, that there should be 4 deputy chief ministers. Because the very fact that only DK Shivakumar is the only DCM, he is like a shadow chief minister. Definitely, you know, the styles, I mean, the functions, and also the kind of whatever the public statement he makes, you know, is kind of no-nonsense approach as far as his authority is concerned. But I think, you know, Siddaramaiah also knows that Shivakumar is rising, and it inevitably he has to hand over the next whatever the chief ministership to Shivakumar. But it all depends on the Lok Sabha elections. If Shivakumar's brother is defeated, which is going to be certain, and second thing is if Siddaramaiah is losing Mysore constituency, which he has staked, I mean, his stakes are very high. I think these two, you know, they are going to create more problems for them. So therefore, I would say the rise of Shivakumar, whether the controversy or his involvement or not, you know, he is a very, as Mr. Grover said, not only street smart, but also he is a very ambitious person. An ambitious person will use whether fair or foul means to remain ambitious and powerful also. So therefore, the people of Karnataka are worried if this within the kind of infighting and this, what is going to happen to the people of Karnataka in terms of administration? So just 5 seconds. The local body elections have not been conducted for last 3 years. BJP government also responsible, deliberately postponed. And now the present government also has not been able to conduct that elections. And they gave all sorts of official reasons. But my point is, in Lok Sabha elections reveal what kind of power or clout they have over the people of Karnataka, and whether that's going to be different or repeat of 2023. I think people of Karnataka need a good administration, a better administration.
Okay.
Not this kind of,
Bhanuchandar, I have just 1 minute and please help me wind up this show. Tell me something. Elections notwithstanding, I disagree the outcome of Lok Sabha elections. I think DK Shivakumar it is going to be, and he ain't accepting 4 other deputy chief ministers. It has to be my way or the highway. That is DK Shivakumar.
Siddaramaiah, when campaigning in Chamarajanagar, where his constituency Varuna is also present, said that give me 60,000 votes and nobody will touch me. In Mandya, DK Shivakumar said that if you all voted for me during assembly elections, I know that I will get my turn. That's what he says. So I think this warfare and like what the previous speaker was saying about the deputy chief minister's thing, it's going to snowball into a major controversy. The flashpoint will be when I think in a few months the KPCC president's term is coming to an end. KPCC president. I think that's when the Congress High Command has to make a decision on what to do with DK Shivakumar. I don't think he's going to take it this time.
Right, and on that note, thank you very much, Professor Chambi Puranik, Vijay Grover, such a pleasure, Dr. Baswaraj Itnal, as always, Bhanuchandar Nagarajan. Many thanks for joining us in analyzing 1 year of Siddaramaiah government in Karnataka. And the second story on the South Indian is also focusing on Karnataka. An audio leak from a phone call between Congress's L. Shivarame Gowda and BJP's Devaraje Gowda brings a new twist to the Prajwal Revanna case, coming up in a moment. This is not going to go anywhere. I had done many stories about where is Prajwal Revanna, and now there is a new twist to the Prajwal Revanna case. Even as an arrest warrant has been issued against Prajwal Revanna, the absconding Janata Dal secular member of parliament for Hassan, in connection with a rape case on Saturday, that is 18th May, the sexual abuse case has witnessed yet another dimension with an audio clip which is doing the rounds. In this latest twist, former minister and senior leader of the Congress party, L.R. Shivarame Gowda, is purportedly heard convincing BJP's Devaraje Gowda, you know, the man who alleged that Deputy Chief Minister DK Shivakumar had a role to play in distributing the alleged sex videos. So he was heard telling Devaraje Gowda to distribute pen drives containing the so-called obscene videos involving Prajwal Revanna. In the audio clip, which has stirred the Prajwal pot further, Shivarame Gowda is heard convincing Devaraje Gowda to distribute the pen drives and pass on the blame for it on former Chief Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy as a case of the latter wanting to promote his son. Do not underestimate Mr. Kumaraswamy. Former Prime Minister H.D. Devagowda and his family, the government is determined to ruin their lives. I am wondering why Mr. Devagowda has not committed suicide till now. Very horrible words if true. Incendiary words there if proven genuine. As a policy, we do not play unverified videos or audios. I have it, but I won't play it. But this new twist gains credence in the face of the intense politicking in the Prajwal Revanna case. I said it from day one. In all this political slugfest, the real cause will be lost. The BJP leader in turn, that is Devaraje Gowda, is heard saying how it is not right to share the videos as it shall impact the lives of the victims. Now, it needs to be recalled that Devaraje Gowda had alleged that DK Shivakumar had offered him 100 crores to accuse H.D. Kumaraswamy of masterminding the circulation of pen drives. Meanwhile, the JDS reacted very sharply to this entire sequence of events and said that the Congress government had hatched a conspiracy to take away the life of Deve Gowda. I hope not. I pray not. You know what? I've said this and I'm going to say it yet again. In all these allegations and counter-allegations, the point is the delayed justice for women of Hassan who have suffered immense trauma at every stage, first at the hands of these perpetrators and then the curse of being ostracized. As promised, the South Indian is the only show which gives you an expansive and exclusive view of what is happening in the south of India. I leave you with some of the other top headlines from the south of India. Namaskara.
was ready to be a CEO at 26.
Only the guys with the strongest heads can handle hard situations.
There is a blurring line between arrogance and confidence.
This is the philosophy of FC Bayern Munich.
World premiere on 25th of May, only on News9 Live at 9 p.m.
Very good afternoon to all our viewers out there. I'm Shriya Kundu and you're watching News9 Live, and we bring to you all the latest updates of the hour from across the nation and around the world. And well, as today, as we have broken news earlier in the morning, our top focus for the day continues to be the crash, the helicopter crash of Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi. Now, Iranian officials have confirmed that Iran's President Raisi and Foreign Minister Amir Abdullahian have died in the helicopter crash, as we had reported earlier this morning. The IRGC division has revealed that some of the bodies are burnt and cannot be identified. Vice President Mansouri on social media on platform X confirmed President Raisi's death. Now, the Iranian president was travelling in a mountainous area of East Azerbaijan province with Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian following a visit to neighbouring Azerbaijan to inaugurate a joint dam operation when the crash happened. Now, bad weather is what is being blamed for the crash, which was also described initially by media as a hard landing, and said that the conditions were complicating rescue efforts. The incident, which involved one helicopter in a convoy of 3, was described by Iranian state television as an accident. This is what we know so far about the entire incident.
مخاطبین محترم میتونن ببینن که چگونه گروه‌های امداد در حالی که شب
فمنهم من ينتظر وما بدلوا تبديلا صدق الله العلي العظيم. آیت الله سید ابراهیم رئیسی خادم الرضا علیه السلام که 3 سال پیش در سال روز ولادت امام رضا علیه السلام 8مین رئیس جمهور ایران اسلامی شد، در شب ولادت امام رضا علیه السلام به شهادت رسید.
Well, with that now, we're being joined by our colleague from News9, Aditya Raj Kaul. Aditya, we had this conversation earlier in the day as well with regards to whether or not there is a certain level of conspiracy theory that is involved in this entire death, especially because the circumstances, definitely the weather conditions have been bad, but it's the helicopter being burnt, the remnants of the helicopter, the way it was found, and the body is completely being charred. And especially we know this comes in at a time when Iran isn't one of the most stable states. So at this point, is there any point even talking about a conspiracy theory with regards to Raisi's death?
Well, I'm pretty surprised that in the last 24 hours there hasn't been a conspiracy theory that has come out, particularly against Israel. Because any development, particularly a killing that happens in Iran, no matter what circumstances it has occurred in, it is blamed on Israel. And perhaps I'm pretty sure that in the next few days or hours, there will be somebody in Iran pointing fingers at Israel. But having said that, it's pretty much clear in this episode, in the last 15 to 20 hours, ever since this entire rescue mission was started, that this is due to either a technical error of the aircraft or the pilot, or this is the weather that has played a role in this, because this was a foggy afternoon, morning, and thereafter heavy rains in that region. And let's remember, this is a forested mountainous area. SOP says that in such harsh weather, it is difficult to fly a helicopter, so one should avoid it, especially when you are carrying number 1 and number 2 of your government. You certainly won't take that risk. Also, the foreign minister Amir of Iran had to be in Kazakhstan today for the SCO summit. That obviously won't happen now. Either there will be a representative or in his absence that will take place. But having said this, I'll also reflect on something which is important to say, which is that Ibrahim Raisi is someone, and having said that this is a sad incident, unfortunate incident, but we must remember who the man was. Ibrahim Raisi is a hardliner, is someone who is responsible for the killings of not hundreds but thousands of Iranians who sought liberty.
He's known as the hanging judge for that matter, yes.
Hanging judge.
Absolutely.
In 89 and 90, when he was the Deputy Prosecutor General, he ordered the killing of several of the leftists and communists and those who were protesting for their rights, for liberty. Ever since he came to power in 2021, he followed the footsteps of Khomeini, and he ordered that men and women should have limited interaction in any work environment. He ordered that every woman will have to wear a burqa and an abaya, and there is no, prevention of that. Ibrahim Raisi is seen as one of the harshest hardliners in the history of Iran, and that is why we see in pockets of Iran and in pockets of the Irani population living in exile, there are celebrations happening. At the same time, I also see this as a victory for the Israelis, because in the last 6 to 7 months, there is a war and a larger conflict that's underway in the region. But without doing anything, without waging a direct confrontation, without launching a nuclear arsenal or a missile, the number 1 and number 2 of the government have been eliminated.
Absolutely.
So this is a big, big victory. They won't say it. It won't be publicly acknowledged. This is not the nicety or the morally right to say, but this is what it is. And the killing certainly will domestically put the situation of the Iranian government in a complete chaos until the 50-day period when right now the acting vice president, who is taking care of the administrative affairs, will come to effect. He'll become the president, and we'll have the deputy foreign minister Ali, who will come and have the in the larger footstep of an acting foreign minister. But will they be able to give the leadership, the command, the smooth transition that is required for this government is something very interesting to see. And what role will they play in this larger conflict? Because remember, there are proxies of Iran in this entire region, not just targeting Israel, but in this entire sea route, several of the ships, the Indian ships also were made a target. Several foreign ships were made a target. The UK ship was made a target. So Iran was completely focused in the last 7 to 8 months towards Israel and towards supplying arsenal, resources, money, and morally supporting the proxies. Will they now look inwards towards their domestic policy?
Mark, that we definitely will be speculating on further, but currently let's just get into the depth of the matter a little more. Iran's President Ibrahim Raisi was inaugurating a joint dam project with Azerbaijan on the shared border hours before his helicopter made a rough landing in heavy fog on the return journey on Sunday. Now, the helicopter carrying Raisi and his foreign minister crashed as it was crossing the mountain terrain in heavy fog on the way back from the visit to the border with Azerbaijan. Now, Raisi had been at the Azerbaijani border to inaugurate the Kis-Kalaisi Dam, a joint project.
How do you fulfill that promise? Because ultimately expectations have to be met. If you look at the political landscape, is it really changing for women? And what is the inability of the forces that dead bodies surface but not the living people?
I was ready to be a CEO at 26.
Only the guys with the strongest heads can handle hard situations.
There is a blurring line between arrogance and confidence.
This is the philosophy of FC Bayern Munich.
World premiere on 25th of May, only on News9 Live at 9 p.m.
Hello and welcome to our brand new show. On the show, we'll tell you stories that affect you, your life, your money and your well-being, broadcasting live from News9 headquarters. I am Shweta Kothari. Here's the top story we're tracking at this hour. The president of Iran has died. Ibrahim Raisi was killed after his helicopter crashed in East Azerbaijan on Sunday. Among those who died are Iran's foreign minister and several other key officials. The 63-year-old was the potential successor of Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. Raisi was a controversial leader. Elected president in 2021, he had ordered a tightening of morality laws and overseen a bloody crackdown on anti-government protests since taking office. His presidency was marked by tensions with the West and crackdown on dissent within his country. Now, Raisi's death comes at a time when there is growing dissent within Iran over political, social and economic crises. It's a very critical time for West Asia as well, and Iran plays a crucial role in it. In the ongoing Israel war in Gaza, Tehran has been repeatedly accused of backing Hamas. Iran also backed Hezbollah in opening the Lebanon front against Israel. A major escalation of hostilities between Israel and Iran came last month when Iran launched a volley of missiles at Israel. The US warning of sanctions against countries that do business with Iran have become the latest turning point for West Asia. Raisi's death will keep tensions in West Asia hot. But beyond West Asia, there is an impact on the rest of the world too. Now, war clouds anywhere in the world, remember, brings safe haven investment options in demand. Tensions in West Asia have led to a gold rally in the past. But despite gold shooting to record highs today, the surge cannot be attributed solely to the crisis in Iran. We will decode reasons for gold's record high later on the show. In April, to remember, gold had touched new highs on the fears of a war between Israel and Iran. Although such a scenario did not play out, the prospect of any more instability in West Asia now could well be a boost to the yellow metal. Then there is oil. Iran is the third largest producer of crude oil in OPEC, or the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. Raisi's death is unlikely to affect Iran's oil policy, but amid political uncertainty, Brent crude futures gained 25 cents to $84.25 or $24 a barrel today. Analysts say there may not be any long-term impact on oil and it is likely to remain range-bound. And finally, India. There is the question of India. Prime Minister Modi in his tweet said that he is deeply saddened and shocked by the tragic demise of Dr. Syed Ibrahim Raisi, and India stands with Iran in these times of sorrow. For India, Raisi's death comes barely a week after New Delhi signed a contract with Iran on 13th of May to operate Iran's Chabahar port for a period of next 10 years. Aimed at expanding trade with Central Asia. Now, India had first proposed this plan way back in 2003, but the US sanctions on Iran over its suspected nuclear program slowed down the port's development. Chabahar is one of the strategic important ports to India. The port provides India a good gateway to reach landlocked Afghanistan and Central Asia using a road and rail project called the International North-South Transport Corridor bypassing Pakistan. The Chabahar port deal is India's response of China operating the Gowda port in neighboring Pakistan. The distance between Chabahar and Gowda remains just 72 kilometers. Now remember, as I mentioned, India signed a 10-year agreement to develop and operate Chabahar port on 13th of May. And despite US threatening sanctions, India dismissed the narrow view, saying that port will serve the whole region. India is expected to stay invested in its relationship with Iran in times of uncertainty. Raisi's death is unlikely to have any material consequential impact on India. Apart from the Chabahar port, India's economic ties with Iran are supported by import of oil and export of petroleum products, rice, machinery, metals, pharmaceutical, tea and chemicals amounting to $1.86 billion in bilateral trade. The next Iranian president will keep well to keep legacy and trade ties with India intact. And moving on, Indian markets are set to hit a record high in the next couple of weeks. But before you hold us to this bold prediction, let's be clear. It's not us saying this, it's the Prime Minister. In a recent television interview, Prime Minister Narendra Modi calmly brushed aside concerns about market nervousness, exuding confidence as he declared that Indian stocks will soar to a new height within the week of June 4th, the Lok Sabha election counting day. Now, Modi's optimism comes amid turbulent times for the Indian markets. Since the start of polling for 2024 Lok Sabha elections on 19th of April, the Nifty index has been on a wild ride, swinging by at least thousands of points. Meanwhile, the India VIX, a measure of market volatility, has also doubled in just 3 weeks, signaling heightened sensitivity to the election outcome. But Modi remains unfazed. He hailed the market's strong performance under the government's tenure since 2014, noting that the 30-share Sensex has since tripled in the last decade. Moreover, he pointed to the soaring stocks of state-run companies as testimony to India's economic prowess, highlighting their remarkable ascent from what was once considered a symbol of decline. And Modi isn't alone in his bullish outcome. Union Home Minister Amit Shah and External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar have also stepped forward to address market concerns, attributing recent turbulence to election jitters and confidently forecasting a post-election surge. Shah even urged investors to seize the opportunity and buy stocks ahead of the anticipated rebound after June 4th. But unlike Modi, his cohort, experts remain a bit cautious. They warn of volatility and potential corrections in the final tally for the BJP if it falls short of expectations. According to them, the election outcome is largely discounted and factored in the market price, and the possibility of positive surprises is less and any downside surprise is higher. If the final tally is below market expectation and triggers a sharp correction, experts advise buying on dip for a long-term horizon. However, they anticipate a strong rally in the BJP-led NDA, and if it achieves its much-publicized 400-plus seat target, then the markets could see an all-time high again. And with that, it's time for a short break. We'll be back with more stories on the other side. Keep watching News 9.
For the very first time in our investigation, we unmasked the killer of Ravindra Matre.
In 5G, we have to stand with the world, and in 6G, we have to lead the world.
Winning a Grammy was an absolutely surreal experience.
Can the Trinamool candidate from Baharampur hit the ball out of the park?
50-60 दिन बहुत ज़्यादा बोल रहा हूँ, उससे पहले ही काम दिखने स्टार्ट हो जाएंगे.
Pitted opposite Pathan in Team BJP is Dr. Nirmal Kumar Saha.
The fight is not Adit Chaudhary and Nirmal Saha. The fight between Modi versus Rahul Gandhi.
Yusuf Pathan and Nirmal Saha, two professionals who have switched to politics, are taking on Congress leader Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary. Can one of the first-time politicians end his winning streak?
This and more. Streaming on News9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Gold prices have hit a record high today yet again. This year, the precious metal is up 18% already, and we're just 5 months into the calendar year. The yellow metal has outshined equities in India. Nifty has risen a paltry 3.5%, whereas both mid and small caps have delivered returns of about 12%. At 76,215 rupees per 10 grams in Mumbai, is this the right time to buy gold? Well, the opinion is divided on that front just as yet. I'll tell you who is saying what in just a bit. But all that glitters is not gold, quite literally. Silver, palladium and platinum have also enjoyed a strong rally this year. In fact, silver has outperformed gold, reaching its highest price in over 11 years now at 96,500 rupees a kg. So what's really driving this surge, and more importantly, will the rally continue? Let's dive in. One of the primary reasons for gold's rally over the past weeks is the expectation that US Fed might start cutting interest rates as early as September, following lower than expected inflation data in the month of April. Currently, traders are pricing in about 70% chance of a US rate cut in September, according to the CME Fed Watch tool. This marks a sharp increase compared to earlier in the week. You might be wondering how Fed rate cuts boost prices of gold and other precious metals. Well, gold as a traditional asset class doesn't really earn interest. When the Federal Reserve cuts interest rates, it makes savings accounts and bonds less attractive due to their lower returns. This prompts investors to seek alternatives like gold, which is considered a safe haven. Additionally, lower interest rates usually weaken the dollar, making gold cheaper for foreign buyers and increasing its demand. Now, these factors combined together drive up gold prices when the Fed reduces rates. On a side note, the sovereign gold bond issued by Reserve Bank of India does pay an interest rate of 2.5% per annum, but generally, gold as an asset and metal does not bear interest. So, apart from US Fed, there is a crisis in the West Asia. Gold's status, as I said, as a gold haven was highlighted again after Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi's helicopter crashed in dense fog on Sunday. This incident added to the sense of rising geopolitical risk in the region, especially after a China-bound oil tanker was hit by a Houthi missile in the Red Sea over the weekend. Israel has also kept up its strikes against Gaza, keeping tensions in the region high. Elsewhere, increased military action between Russia and Ukraine also supported the safe haven demand as both countries launched strikes against each other over the weekend. Amid all the geopolitical and economic upheaval, Chinese consumers have turned to gold as their confidence in investments like real estate and stocks has weakened. At the same time, China's central bank has been steadily increasing its gold reserves while reducing its holding of the US debt. Adding to this trend is the Chinese